Hello everybody and welcome to the table. Today I have for you the Rubato 2 from OKNIFE. And immediately upon seeing this, I decided to go ahead and buy it, and maybe for the same reasons you are watching this video. So reason number one. So we know that Kizer Knives is the maker for Olight for all their OKNIFE line. So that includes, of course, the Rubato 2 here. And number two of the hottest and hard to get Kizer knives at this point in time, at least as of making this video, are both axis lock knives. One of them is called the Escort, and one of them is, of course, the Drop Bear. And so these models are really good sellers. They share a lot of similarities with the Rubato 2. So I think it's natural to draw comparisons between all these knives, similar features, same company. And so throughout this video, I'm going to go ahead and be calling the lock on this knife the axis lock, because that's what it is, even though I know that OKNIFE/Olight, they call it the rail lock for trademark reasons. But we all know it functions essentially the same way a Benchmade axis lock works. So honestly, I think the Rubato 2 here, it's going to be a winner. But let's go ahead and take a closer look at the knife. So first off, we will check out the size. We have a very pocket-friendly knife here. So the blade length is pretty much exactly 3 inches long, and the overall length of the knife comes in at around 7¼ inches. So this Rubato is a little more carry-friendly than the original Rubato, which is a little bit larger and kind of a very different knife overall, even though they're both axis lock knives. And as you can tell, this variant of the knife has these green aluminum scales, and it's also available with the green micarta, but I definitely wanted to check it out in aluminum, again, because both the Kizer Drop Bear and the Escort are available with aluminum handles. And I kind of wanted to get a feel if this knife would be a good proxy for those models in case you couldn't get one. And so as you would expect, the aluminum scales are smooth in hand, which honestly what it does is it makes using this deep carry clip here very easy in and out of pocket. So the deep carry clip, it's a polished satin. We can see it's set up for tip up carry, either right hand side or left hand side. And so it carries, as you can see, it's not perfectly flush with the handle, but there are no crazy protrusions that would keep you from using this clip properly. I think they did it pretty well. And so the liners on the Rubato 2, it's nice to see. These, of course, are steel liners, but when you look inside there, you can see they are fully skeletonized. And so that does give us a little bit of weight savings. So with all these lovely cutouts in the knife, the weight of the Rubato 2 comes in at 3.8 ounces. So our blade here is a sheepsfoot blade. It's in a 154 cm. So this version of the knife has a satin finish on it. And if you look, you can see there are very fine grind lines there. So it looks pretty good. On the show side, we have the OKNIFE logo and the blade steel prominently marked. Whereas when we look at the back of the knife here, we have some information. And so we have, of course, the model name. We have the serial number in some very small text, as well as the designer's name. So the name is Azo, A-Z-O. So Azo is actually quite a prolific designer for Kizer knives. So if you just Google his name, you're going to see a lot of his handiwork out there in the wild. So a lot of the stuff that Kizer makes is one of his designs. And while we're looking at the blade, let's check out the spine here. So look at that. We have actually quite a long line of jimping here, more so than we usually see in pocket knives. The edge of the knife is just as sharp as you would expect. So out of the box, the Rubato 2 here, certainly good to go, ready to go. So the knife here, it does run on bearings. And so that makes for a super smooth action, as well as a nicely centered blade. So that looks good. Both of the pivot screws here on the knife are T8 sized, so that's nice to see. Same thing with the rear screw here, that's also a T8, so pretty robust construction on this knife. And we can also see on the pivots, we have these blue accents on the knife, little pivot collar here, as well as the blue thumb studs. So the blue color, maybe kind of an odd choice given that the scales of the knife are green. And I think that's one of the complaints I've seen about this knife. But really, it's only a cosmetic issue. If that bothers you, I'm sure you could replace these things if you really wanted to. So yeah, really not a big deal. But if I had to make one complaint about this knife, it would be that the knife itself, the blade did not come Loctited. So the pivot did not have any Loctite or thread locker on it. And I noticed that because, of course, brand new out of the box, there was no side-to-side play on the knife. But with a knife this fidgety, the pivot actually really quickly started to loosen, and some side-to-side play became really obvious really quickly. And so the solution to this, of course, it would be to use that T8 Torx bit just to occasionally keep it tightened. But the obvious, more permanent fix to this would be to put some Loctite or some other brand of thread locker in the pivot area. And that would just keep the screws from casually backing out while you flip the knife, while you fidget with the knife. And you're going to want to do that because, like I said, this knife is fidgety. I mean, the action is great. The blade swings freely. It's really a joy using the axis lock to both open and close the knife. It's really just a great example, of a modern axis lock knife being put on bearings. So the blade never feels like it's going to guillotine your fingers off, but it's still really easy to open and close with just the action alone. So that's really great. So very recommendable knife. If this knife here was Kizer branded at this very same price, I am positive it would be just as popular as the Drop Bear, just as popular as the Escort. But one nice thing that OKNIFE does that kind of Kizer really doesn't do with their name brand knives are the little extras. So here with the Rubato 2, we have a nice nylon pouch to store the knife in, and it comes in that straight out of the box. But even better for the collectors out there, I guess, we have this nice little collectible coin. And it's, of course, specific to this model. So we can see the name of the knife, the Rubato 2, and it looks, just kind of decoration on here. It looks like there's a gator on there. So either way, little extras like the coin here, those are always appreciated. Maybe not everyone cares about that, but I think the target audience who would buy this knife kind of does. Before we go, we'll do a few quick size comparisons. I really do think a decent comparison to this knife would be the Benchmade Mini Griptilian. And so, of course, both axis lock knives. And the Mini Grip is actually, as you can see, it's a little bit smaller in overall length. But still, I think it makes a really good size comparison, at least. They're both small axis lock knives. And also just for kicks, for comparison's sake, here on the table, we have a recent entry from, of all places, Walmart. So this is the Ozark Trail axis lock knife. Brand new this year. Very similar, actually, in size to the Rubato 2. And at $6, this axis lock knife from Ozark Trail, you almost can't go wrong, Either way, it's just a fun knife to have out for comparison's sake and just to fidget with on the table, But either way, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Feel free to leave a comment below if you have any questions. I'd love to read those from you. But I hope you all have a nice day, everyone. See you later.